when young boys or girls, they start their career, their expectation is to have a very, glamour product to work with.
That no matter what it is exciting to solve for, right?
Yeah.
And the excitement lies in how you solve it and the process of solving and the process of delivering that solve, right?
So you did the designing of wayfinding and the signages of Kartavya Path and the new parliament.
Things which questioned me a lot was that area was built by a colonial power, right? It was built by the Britishers. And everything about that place reeks of the colonial power. It is just reminds us of that power which was ruling us for 200 years, right? In that sense. जब आप सही तरह से सही चीज करते हो और सही तरह से प्रेजेंट करते हो without any flowery language to it, कि वो सच्चाई से कोई दूर भाग नहीं सकता है.
So my next question to you is that when I was going through your profile, one thing that I observed that your entire career, even when I was taking a tour of your studio this morning, even your studio is built on the idea of dare to be authentic, right? But let's be honest, Anthony, when I know that most of the clients, when they come to you, they have a wish wanting to be a global leader in their category, not themselves. How do you actually convince a nervous client to bet on their truth?
Firstly, I think most clients come with a very confident stance about themselves, right?
Yeah.
And with them, if you try and preach the concept of to be themselves, then in most cases it won't work, right? In that sense, because people do not want conviction to come from outside, and because conviction needs to come from inside.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the first approach towards the aspect of daring to be authentic, right? So while we use that statement, I don't think it's a statement which we can preach with.
Yeah.
Right. So the process which we apply to do that is a pretty rigorous process, and it's not necessarily a formula for solution, but it could be something which people can learn from. And a story occurs in my head about many years back, and this is basically a culmination of many years that I came up with this statement, dare to be authentic. Is after seeing our own work and my lifespan moving forward, right? And I could reflect back, and I said, hey, it requires reasonable amount of daring to be able to produce work of a certain kind, right? And this is not rebellion, right? So,
right.
So I remember being invited to go to Bangalore to meet this potential client, who somebody very strongly referred me to. And his name is Rishi Dogra, and he used to be the CMO of babajobs.com, it's a startup at that point, but a successful startup in his space, right?
Yes.
And I remember just going and chatting with him in a hall or some place like that in Baba Jobs, and we chatted up for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then he said, okay, send me a proposal. And very soon he got back to me saying, hey, you're too expensive, we can't afford you, right? And but he ended his statement by saying, hey, but one day I will soon work with you, right? And then, of course, I thought that was a closing line from somebody who didn't want to hurt you, but did have some respect of some sort. Very soon, Rishi changed his job and he joined a company called Nestway, and in 3 months he invited me over.
Wow.
Right? And along with Rishi, we did this, one of the most fantastic jobs of our portfolio of Nestway. We rebranded Nestway.
I saw.
Yeah, and there was nothing as authentic as that in context to Nestway, And I remember that when we presented to the founders, the idea, and one of the so-called CEO founder, banged his hand on the table, says, that's it, in terms of how true it was to the brand in that sense, And And I think the daring has nothing to do with the founders or Rishi in that sense. It's about the challenge we put to ourselves in trying to find the real next way.
Okay.
Right? And when we found it, and we did not stop till we found it, right? So everything what I'm going to speak about today is about not stopping. It's about finding the truth, is finding the real next way, right? And people who have worked with me and my team currently knows that sometimes it's a big struggle, right? To find the thing which is absolutely right.
But आप convince कैसे करते हो client को to bet on their true values?
You don't need to
Client
convince.
have a perception कि I should look like that brand, I should look like that brand.
Absolutely.
आप client को ये that is your USP, Anthony. आप convince कैसे करते हो?
जब सच्चाई सामने आती है ना तो कन्विंस नहीं करनी पड़ती है. That's the biggest thing which we have to learn. So while we use words and we use articulation and we spend a lot of time in articulation, कि इसको सही तरह से कैसे बोलना, exacting words कैसे use करना, so ये बहुत ही critical है because you are currently, because there are many stages before you actually show the final strategy, right? And the client is paying you for all those stages when they are getting practically nothing out of you, right?
True.
उसका एंड प्रोडक्ट चाहिए उसको पर उसके लिए प्रोसेस होता है ठीक है and he keeps paying you from that, he pays you in advance ठीक है. So how do you build that trust? And every step basically you need to gain that trust for client, right? He needs to go back home and say thank God I found this partner.
Correct.
So the rigor which you require in your work and the substance which you need to put needs to be that good, right? That good, that means he is getting convinced. He is getting convinced at every point, but he is also getting converted.
I see.
So, but you are not forcing him to convert. So I said, no, conviction comes from inside.
Correct.
So this is the transformation is happening from inside. और उसका दृष्टि बदलना शुरू हो जाता है.
दृष्टिकोण बदलना शुरू हो जाता है.
हाँ, दृष्टिकोण, sorry. मेरी हिंदी थोड़ी कच्ची है. And please correct me on that front. There's no excuse about that. And when that happens, then there is a possibility of magic to unveil itself.
Correct.
Right? So it's not about mesmerizing an audience, but it's about showing the audience a certain lens. And that lens is a powerful lens. That's the lens of truth. That there is fundamentally something powerful in everything.
It needs a lot of courage to talk to client like this. ये जो जिद आपने बताई ये जिद है.
हाँ, absolutely.
ये जिद है and this is madness. This is what you need when you are.
But जिद से पहले पहचान है कि हम में पहचान होनी चाहिए. And here I'm talking to every creative person or any person who creates of any sorts, right? And most of us are creators. Everybody is a creator, right? In any job they're doing. And I think वो पहचान बहुत important है कि मैं I can come up with solutions which are so perfect and authentic,
I agree.
कि वो वहाँ पे मिलाप सही होगा ही होगा. और वो सोच का रिजल्ट है. एंड वो सोच ऐसे ही अपने हवा से नहीं आती है, वो सोच समझ से आती है कि you understand the client, you understand the client problem, you understand the market, you understand this, you understand this. तो अभी आजकल तो ये सब डालो चैट जीपीटी में और उसका आंसर निकल जाता है लिटरली. बट दैट्स नॉट द आंसर. दैट आंसर कैन नॉट गिव यू द सोल.
But I see
उसके अंदर लाइफ हो जाती है.
I see a very strong message here कि research बहुत important है. If you have done a good research, then client will definitely listen to your proposition.
Yes and no. See, again, I'm coming back to that every part of what you do or what you do in order to derive a result out of it is an important part. It's a process,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And there has to be a dedicated effort to do that well, right? In that sense. And you got to apply yourself correctly to be able to take out. उसमें से क्या निकाल रहे हो आप? You can read tons and tons of data and it's an endless research when you go to any vertical of the industry, right? In terms of what you can do, right? And you can talk to consumers. You don't stop talking to them because there's such a wide range of consumers in context to, at least India is concerned.
True.
The geography of the market, what works in Delhi does not work in
Absolutely.
in Bangalore, and things like that. So there is this culmination of wealth which you have as a person, and the wealth which you create in terms of knowledge gathering, and the wealth which you create in terms of analysis and analytics, which then gives you that ness तो नस पकड़ना कहते हैं,
वो पकड़ लिया
वो
Yes.
पकड़ना जरूरी है.
Yes.
और वो जानकारी, और वो हर इंसान कर सकता है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट ओनली आई कैन डू इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ, बट द आइडिया इज अबाउट डूइंग इट विद दैट ऑनेस्टी एंड इंटीग्रिटी, बिकॉज यू आर सीकिंग फॉर द राइट आंसर.
Absolutely.
You're not seeking for the right idea.
You're seeking for the right solution.
Answer.
Yes.
And that is an important aspect. Dare to be authentic, right? I think it has taken, which I said earlier also, a lot of perseverance, hard work, determination, all these words, all the adjectives you can use to reach at a position where the clarity comes in that you have to dare yourself to be authentic, right? In that sense, and it's nothing to do with the client. And if I believe that there is a unique proposition or a unique character or a unique being in every entity, then it is my business to search it out and find that entity, the definition of that entity, right? In that sense, and being able to give it a form and a shape and a voice and a character, right? Because it's no point, I mean, if you talk about leadership, right, it's no point having another leader who's just like the other one. So, and if you see true leadership, you will see the true person behind that leadership, right? A Gandhi, because the world does not want another imitation. And the moment you become an imitation of somebody else, or a shadow of somebody else, or a mirror of somebody else, you are just another one. And when you're another one, you just have to basically start fighting on something called price points, or sameness, or more features, and things. You cannot get an upper hand. It's very tough.
Correct.
Right? And thereby the aspect of authenticity is so true to any being, that it is our business to bring it through. So according to me, the concept of dare to be authentic, I think is the strongest brief I can give myself and my team. And that's a challenge to pick up.
And that's how the work behind the brief begins.
Yes. So this, I mean, everybody asks what's the client brief like? And probably in the coming things, we can talk about those things in more detail. Yeah, so over to you.
And see, now I have a question which is related to the modern day challenging that design community is facing right now is AI. AI can generate logo, it can do branding, it can do packaging, it can do whatnot, it can do anything. Now for someone like you who have spent 30 years in strategic thinking, making people believe, how is this posing threat to you, and how do you think this AI thing is posing threat to the current era designer?
It's a question which will always come in this era for everybody to answer. So everybody will have their own take on this, and I've been asking this question from 6-7 years back. It's part of my presentation, where when AI was coming and AI came in, right? And now it's like
It's there.
slowly.
It's amongst us now.
Now it's I'm using the word slowly still. Although AI is one such innovation and technology which is exponentially expanding. Right? So it's a power of 10 expansion at every certain period. Say in 6 months it's 10 times more powerful. Now 10 times is multiplication of 10 times. That's massive, right? In that sense. So that's a massive impact which is creating in terms of what it can do. And the other aspect is what it can do is about, it's got to do with intelligence. Not only plain knowledge, but it's about applying that knowledge to finding the right solution, right? In that sense, or giving you the right solution, and that thereby it becomes extremely powerful tool. And also when it starts becoming independent as a thinking tool, then it will reach AGI stage where it can probably quote unquote replace you, right? And replace mankind in many things. in that perspective. Now, whether that will happen or not is for tomorrow to see. But while we are at today and we have to answer the question literally on a day-to-day basis, okay, bhaiya, how is it impacting an Anthony? So Anthony is not at all worried about it. I feel that I'm massively empowered by having a tool like this.
Superb.
Right?
That's an awesome answer. Yeah.
And I use it and especially in my thinking, in my research. So the time which I would do work with along with a larger team is now contained within me to a large degree. It doesn't mean that I don't work with a team. I'll always work with a team, and I believe in teamwork. But I can find a lot of things for myself, right? I can have many options in context to strategy and strategic thinking, which it does to a certain degree reasonably well in a certain framework, but I'm not afraid of anything so far with it, because I think it requires higher intelligence to find, which I repeatedly use the word soul. आत्मा ढूंढने के लिए तो उसको मुश्किल है, एंड जब तक वो आत्मा ढूंढने के चक्कर में बैठेंगे हम लोग, which is the real thing which human beings connect with each other for, is that the human being will be required as an interface to know what is the right solution eventually, right? And thereby I use this statement, which is now very common in common parlance, maybe not very common, but the fact that we have just finished an era of knowledge economy, where whoever had the knowledge had the power, right? That's finished. The knowledge exists for everybody. It is a common denominator that everybody has access to knowledge.
Knowledge, yes,
right?
Absolutely.
And so it's accessible.
Absolutely.
And accessible for free and or very cheap, right? In that sense. So the value of knowledge has come down to zero almost, right? But there's another factor which has come in, which is kicked in because of that with all the knowledge in the world, how are you going to take the right decision for yourself or for whatever you're doing or for a business or this thing? It requires something called wisdom.
Wisdom.
वो कहाँ से आएगी? I believe in my wisdom.
But मुझे लगता है कि सी ए का भी मल्टीपल, अगर मैं डिज़ाइन कम्युनिटी की बात करता हूँ तो इट इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड एट मल्टीपल स्टेजेस. सी रिसर्च तक तो ठीक है, इट इज़ गुड ऑल्सो, बट एग्जीक्यूशन पे भी क्या, डू यू encourage your team or young generation? What do
I will encourage everybody to use the tool in whatever capacity it expands itself, right? So in rendering, this, that, design options, ये सब कुछ कर लो. But remember that this tool belongs to everybody. Everybody can do it. So what is that what you are going to add to this tool which will become कि आपने कुछ डाला है उसको तो आपकी value अभी भी है. That's the hard work. So it has pushed the level of working to another level altogether. आप समझ गए हो? तो that aspect where the shift is happening and then thereby you have to shift along with it, otherwise आप रह जाएंगे. So very simple example of innovation and what innovation and technology has done to society, कि जो बंदा जो घोड़ा का व्हील बनाता था 200-300 years ago,
हाँ जी,
हाँ, वो अभी है ही नहीं, बहुत कम है. वो पूरी इंडस्ट्री खत्म हो चुकी है. Because you no longer require this guy to make this wheel in wooden thing and with metal plate around it, right? So likewise, everybody, now the only big difference is that society has always learned to adapt itself to new technologies and new innovations and industries, but it has always happened at a time where everybody could easily adapt in time. ठीक है? So this guy who used to make wheels of carts could make wheels of cart all his life till the industry died.
Correct.
उसके दो पुस्तक could do that before it finally died, right? In that sense.
बिल्कुल.
अभी वो वक्त बहुत short हो गया. It's compressed to a very very fast degree. So the rate at which you need to adapt and move forward is much faster.
Much faster. Yes.
तो वो आपको फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आप उससे सहमत रहेंगे तब बात बनेगी, और दूसरा कि यू गेट योर एक्ट टुगेदर. तो there's a slide I show in my presentation जो वो AI के बारे में है, and then एक्सट्रैक्ट करके कुछ जाता है slide का, and nobody can read it. And then I repeat the slide, and I repeat the slide, and nobody can still read it. And the slide says the train has left the station.
How interesting.
Right? So now if that is true, और आप स्टेशन पे रुक गए, आप स्टेशन पे खड़े हो, ट्रेन निकल चुकी है, तो आप क्या करेंगे? आप रोते बैठेंगे?
आप भागोगे उसके पीछे?
हाँ, भागेंगे या कुछ करेंगे उसके बारे में, right? So that answer is up to you.
Right,
I mean, there's no answer to that. But the thing is that how do you deep dive into that medium and become one with it and then capitalize on it? So you can be ahead of the curve or you can be behind the curve, right? So it's up to you. And that's how every technology, people have capitalized it.
Okay, Anthony, now I'll ask a couple of questions to you related to branding. What do you think is the most misunderstood aspect of branding in context to Indian design?
I do not know how to address the question of misunderstanding, but I think the concept of branding is a very old concept, right? It's not something. It is the modern era concept, but people always paid attention to how they would project themselves to people at large, right? So ancient kingdoms also would have a certain way of talking to its audience and its people and all those things. So the written word and or the word which was given out was of a lot of importance. So it's an age-old thing, and the concept of branding has come by it is a strategic tool to be able to define what the organization does with all the aspects of how an organization become almost like a human being talking to people, right? In that sense, from a product perspective or a service perspective or whatever they're doing, right? And thereby to make sure that all the tenants connect to it are connected very well together as a single entity.
Right.
And when it comes to, so I don't separate design from branding in that sense, and then you give it a face and the face becomes the identity. So before the face becoming the identity, there's a name which becomes your identity, right? In that sense. So name and the face is what people associate your brand with, and that name should have a certain character. Now that name and that particular face is combined with everything what you do, it becomes branding. So it's not only the logo, right? And a logo, and it's very important to understand that the logo embodies the spirit of the organization or the brand. So that spirit is critical. And designing that spirit is a criticality. That's branding. Very nice. I hope it answers you.
So I have very interesting question, and this I was about to ask you this question when you were talking about touch and feel of the Kartavya Paths signages. When it comes to branding, Anthony, you think even consumers touch and feel with the brand is critical?
Yeah. I mean, so here the touch and feel can mean beyond the physical in this case, how you feel, right? And how it touches you, right? Besides the physical touch.
It can be through five senses.
Yeah. And so I think it's critical. Yes, a very brief answer for it.
So coming back to my paper business, you think paper plays a vital role here in engaging the customer with the brand?
So there's been a big saying on the wall that paper business is going to die, and but that's been going on for 10 years, 15 years,
we have been
20 years.
So this since 2000.
Yeah, so that's one thing, but I think the more and more we become digital as human beings, the more and more we will want to be tactile in nature, to feel in nature. So that feel factor, which I'm touching my trousers, which is a very beautiful brand, and handmade and hand dyed and all those things. Yeah, so all the handmade, hand dyed, hand woven, hand stitched, right? It just makes me feel so rich. Not rich in money, but rich, right? And likewise, paper has a role in that perspective. So I think that paper will survive its need and requirement. It's just that its function is shifting from being a mass tool of a certain nature, which was the only medium they could rely on initially, And now there are many mediums which can deliver a message, right, in that sense. But it will have its find its place, like paper in packaging, right?
Absolutely.
Everything is packaged today, right? And as long as there is a need for packaging, and the need for packaging is critical because it tells you a story, besides protecting a product, right, in that sense. And as a medium which basically you can touch and feel, I think it has got a lot of characteristics which can deliver that through that medium.
True, that's true. Yeah, paper is tactile. One can, communicate.
And I think it's. I mean, I've been born in the era of print, right? And that's it. My father was a block maker.
Yeah.
Right, and which is now finished as a technology. So with that sensitivity, so with me, I'm romantically involved with the medium, but I also feel pragmatically that it's a fantastic medium to use in order to communicate. It's like the visiting card has vanished, right? But I still use it, and a lot of people still use it.
Yeah.
Right, and it has its place, and it will continue to have its place. While touching a cell phone will automatically transfer the same information.
So what is your suggestion to the brand for paper in future to come?
As it use it effectively, that's all. I mean,
take best benefit of.
And it's critical to know its importance in context to, if you're talking at a larger picture called brand, and use it effectively. Don't use it for the sake of using it or because I'm saying so. I mean, doesn't. But what is critical is that if you know that you need to do it because it delivers something to you more effectively, then you should do it.
No, it is very critical for my audience also to know this, Anthony, because you are a brand custodian, right? You know how what brand needs, what are the ingredient needed to nurture the brand. So do you think paper plays a vital role in as one of those ingredients in nurturing the brand?
Now you use the word vital role, and that vitality will depend on the beholder. Okay, who's using it as a medium, which is going to make a difference to what they are saying or doing, right? In that sense, and I think that is where I don't think paper needs to advocate for itself, which you are doing anyways, but people as designers or people who are commissioners both need to realize the potential of paper from that perspective, and if you realize that potential, you can use it effectively. Very simple. I mean, as long as I'm wearing clothes, I can feel the clothes, and I can feel the texture, and I know the difference between silk and khadi, and something which is man-made. I mean, if I can do that, then so can paper do its job in context to that.
But don't you think when it comes to first interaction of the brand with the consumer, I'm talking about the touch and feel interaction, not the electronics interaction. Paper becomes very crucial because the moment customer holds the brand in their hand, it is packaging that talks first before the customer get into the actual product.
No, that brings me to a very different topic in context to this, but it shifts the plane. In context to when everything becomes same, how will you differentiate yourself?
Correct.
Right? So if I can trade and do business through online everything, and everybody does that, and everybody is creating the same product, then how will you differentiate yourself? And paper would play its role in that context, right? As I'm not saying paper will play a role, but in that context, paper can play a role of differentiation, And just like Apple showed the world how to do packaging, and create a wonderful experience around it, the way the pack opens, right? The slowness will come the other way.
Yeah, correct.
It's crazy, right? Now everybody does it. So now that's going to become same from everybody, right? Now, but still there are qualities of paper which can give you that little difference, which will make all the difference. So it's again, God lies in detail concept. So people who believe in that concept of detail and differentiating, then you have a reason to believe in the story of paper. But not always. So thereby it is a tool which you use like anything else, to bring across a message in a certain manner.
So now, Anthony, we are at the concluding part of our episode. I am not, honestly speaking, I am not wanting to close this podcast episode with you, because I mean all the interesting things which are coming from you. It's really very interesting. It's really very one can really understand the thought that has gone into creating something. So all the legacies that you have created over the years, Anthony, be it culture of barefoot at your studio, be it this library, be it your forum, be it your design thinking, be it your training process, with all this legacy, where do you see Lopez Design 10 years down the line?
Purely as a human being, I mean, and the way we are built, we are always trying to leave something behind. But वक्त इतना कमबख्त चीज है कि आप जो भी छोड़ेंगे वो खत्म हो
जाता है.
ठीक है. And here we are so naive to think about time as your lifetime as time, but in terms of the world and the universe, it is really long. It's millions of years. तो आप कौन हो उस छोटे से बूंद में?
Right.
In that sense. So that's one very interesting concept we have to understand for ourselves. Right? So one is that I believe that I have got, while I may not be the most intelligent person in the room from my childhood, and thereby my marks were not so great, and I discovered another sense of intelligence in myself, which makes me powerful, and that's what the statement, the genius lies in you, and you have to unearth it, and that's the most difficult part, is how to bring the genius out of you, is to do work in your lifetime till your life allows, where you see your self-worth, but also that you do justice to the fact that आपको भगवान ने कुछ दिया है. Because I am the luckiest person alive, because in context to what he has given me, because it's very unique, and it's a देन. अब वो देन से मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? बस खाते जा रहा हूँ अपनी खुशियाँ के लिए.
You have been blessed with something, and now
you have to give back.
To see, yeah,
you have to give back, right? And so giving back is very critical. And one of the aspects which I think of giving back is about, hey, how can I? And you use the term legacy, and I think I've done very little, to leave a legacy. But I think that there is something which is there, which I have discovered for myself, which I want to pass on to my team, which I have created 10 philosophy documents and papers, which I have written 10 papers, just short papers, on our value system and things, and then basically it converts to principles, 10 principles. It's not public, and I'm going to share it with my team first. And probably it may go public, because the idea about that, अगर मैंने कुछ पहचान किया अपने बारे में जो सबके बारे में हो सकता है, तो उसको फैलाना मेरा फर्ज है. It's my duty.
So उसको आप सीमित अपने स्टूडियो पे क्यों कर रहे हो? उसको पूरी दुनिया को जाने दीजिए.
नहीं, because there's one other philosophy. This is my first philosophy.
I'm really sorry.
Is the philosophy of falsification, right? कि जब हम अपने आप सोच रहे कोई बात के, मेरी हिंदी बहुत कच्ची है तो माफ कीजिए, but जब when we think in context to ourselves, when we think we are right, understand? तो हर जब कोई कॉन्सेप्ट लेके सामने आता है तो वो सोचता है कि मैं तो बहुत ही राइट हूँ, पर कोई उसको तोड़ता है, मोस्ट लाइकली योर बॉस विल ब्रेक इट. ठीक है कि ये क्या बकवास किया तूने, टाइप ऑफ थिंग, राइट? एंड देन ही गो बैक डिजेक्टेड, बिकॉज उसने ऐसे मना नहीं किया, पर उसने थोड़ा भी समझाया कि क्यों वो बात बन नहीं सकती है भैया आगे. तो सिमिलरली, and just to explain the theory of falsification, is that the studio functions with the basic principle that no matter what comes to the table, the rest of the team will use all its efforts to bring it down. Understand?
Yes.
वो बहुत ही जोर लगाएगी कि जो भी काम टेबल पे सामने आया है उसको गिराने के लिए. अगर वो गिर नहीं सकता है तो वो काबिल है खड़ा रहने के लिए. तो इसलिए the work which we produce for the outside world, for the client, for everybody is very very good.
Correct.
Because वो अंदर से उसकी खाल उतार के सही बना दिया उसको. ठीक है. And that level of scrutiny is the standard which we have set for ourselves, right? So similarly, the philosophy document which I have produced is a produce which I have done it myself, right? And various tools which I have got for myself. it needs to go through scrutiny.
True.
Like anything in the world, which
agree.
basically like laws and all those things, it goes through a very high level of scrutiny. It needs to do that before it is exposed to the world. इसमें सच्चाई है,
Right.
but इस रूप में जाना without scrutiny is not correct. इसलिए पहले मैं अंदर बांटूंगा and hope जो अंदर बांटूंगा तो वो खाल उतारेंगे उसकी.
But we really look forward to those 10 philosophy, because I am sure there will be a lot of learning for everyone.
I hope it will come through.
Yeah. So far, Anthony, this conversation is going so interesting that I am really not in a mood to conclude this conversation, but unfortunately we have to honor the time also. Now quickly, I have some rapid fire questions for you. You may answer in 1 word, 2 word, whatever you are comfortable at. So first thing you notice when you walk into a new space, the design or the people?
Oh, undoubtedly the people.
Reason?
Because people make the place and whatever place they are in, right? In context to that, yeah. So वो पहचान वहाँ से शुरू होती है हर बार.
So it is very critical for my audience also to know. Helvetica or Indian typeface?
It brings a smile to my mind and my face, but I think both, because I think typeface is all about context. Right? And I think making the right choice is very important. It doesn't discount Helvetica and doesn't discount Indian typefaces, right? So I wouldn't make the choice of either or which, in that sense, yeah.
All right. The most overused word in the design industry right now. Obviously,
there are many overused words, and I try and avoid them. And one of them is design thinking. And I think that the world has capitalized on that word, design thinking, and made billions of money out of it, in that sense, especially the consulting world.
Okay.
And it has robbed design its rightful ownership of that word, right? In that sense, it's overused and misused and underused.
Okay.
Right? And everything what I spoke about now is about design thinking, in that sense.
Yeah,
but I don't use the word. देखा होगा आपने once the word has come.
Yeah. Something you believed strongly when you were at NID and you do not believe anymore?
I think institutions change you. Right? And a great institution definitely changes you, right? So it's also a time of vulnerability at that point of time when you come into an institution like NID. So it has given me a fantastic framing, right?
Okay.
But once I started coming into the real world, I mean, I realized what is the real truth. तो सच्चाई पहचान आ जाती है when you come out and start working, right? In that sense. So that fantastic grounding, and the world gives you the truth.
Last question. अगर एंथनी डिजाइनर नहीं होते तो क्या होते?
पता नहीं. A mechanic, or in the time when I had to choose what to do, architect.
Okay.
But I could have been anything in life. Anything not in terms of कि मैं कुछ भी बन सकता हूँ. With that, अभी मैं समझता हूँ मैं कुछ भी बन सकता हूँ. But उस time पे life could have taken me anywhere.
One word for Indian design, and where is it going according to you now?
I think one word is hesitant currently. And where would it go in the future? Where should it go? It needs to be fearless.
Do you see hesitant all over, or with only young generation?
No, I don't think the young generation to be blamed for anything. It's such. It's the times, and it's the influence which is there, right? So that's very dominant in the field of design. So, and thereby the hesitancy, and the fact that if we find our own finding, then we become fearless, right? And that's when pure work and authentic work will come through.
Interesting. So thank you so much for all those insights, Anthony. And with that, we come to the closer of this wonderful episode. Though I'm really not in a mood to conclude this episode because the conversation is going so interestingly so far. But we have to respect time also. Before we conclude, one final round of few words from you, Anthony.
After so many words, another set of words, right? So, but I'm really honored and thank you for inviting me for this once again. And I think the fact that a paper distributor, is doing this exercise, it just shows, and I truly mean it, that of the sensitivity which you're trying to embody your business with, right? In terms of and the need and the urge for you to bring the industry together and form the industry with this knowledge. It's nothing to do with paper manufacturing and trading, right? In that sense, but it's to stay connected with the system, with the people, with the community, and I think that's a fantastic way to do it.
Thank you so much.
So keep at it and make sure it matures, this particular series of episodes, and drive it with all your might. and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your good wishes, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. The core message today was really very simple. Don't imitate, originate. And I think Anthony has lived that truth for 30 years better than most. If this episode moved you, challenged you, or made you think, please do share it with a colleague, a student, a creative friend. That's honestly the best way you can support Behind the Brief. Let the conversation travel further than this screen. And of course, like, subscribe, and follow us so you never miss an episode. Leave your comment below. I read every single one, and your feedback is what shapes this show. Until then, keep questioning the brief, keep pushing for the truth behind it. I'm Anup Verma. This was Behind the Brief. See you in the next one. Thank you so much.